Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Black Expertise, where we spotlight Black professionals, entrepreneurs, creatives, and change makers whose work is transforming our communities and inspiring the next generation. I'm your host, Renée Holtz, founder of and editor-in-chief of Black Expertise. And today we are honored to be joined by Dominique Thornton. She's founder and lead clinician of Flow Therapy. Dominique is more than a licensed therapist. She is an advocate, educator, and leader committed to making culturally responsive mental health care more accessible. Through Flow Therapy, she has created a space where individuals can heal, grow, and thrive while addressing life's challenges with compassion, evidence-based care. Her work extends beyond the therapy room through community advocacy, public speaking, and initiatives that encourage us to prioritize mental wellness every day. Dominique, thank you for joining us today. We're excited to learn more about your journey, your mission, and the impact you're making through Flow Therapy. Welcome to Black Expertise.
Thank you. Super happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. And don't think this is going to be your only time. I'm just letting you know, you will be back. I'm already telling you before we get to the end. But
I'll give you all my yeses.
so please just start by telling us about yourself. Who is Dominique Thornton beyond the professional titles? Like, who are you?
Who am I? It's so funny. I feel like my answer changes every 2 seconds, which is good because I guess I'm growing and glowing. A little bit more about me. Obviously, I'm a therapist. I'm a dog mom. I walk my dog about 10 times a day. So I get a lot of exercise from that. I also am a former athlete. I played soccer and a little bit of football, which a lot of people don't know about. Did intramural in college and did a lot of football. I think, honestly, all the way up since childhood. In my free time, I like to garden, take afternoon naps. And beyond that, I've been in the pageant world as well. As much as I haven't competed in many years, I am still in that space helping out, incorporating mental health programs there, speaking to kind of help people learn more about how mental health impacts people inside of the pageant world. And that's pretty much it.
Oh,
Otherwise, I'm a therapist all day, every day.
yeah. I did not know we had so many little things. And I used to want to play football back when I was in high school and stuff. They didn't allow us girls at the time, but I was
Nope.
very much an athlete and I love gardening. And we're about to get a
Yes.
dog. I haven't told the boys yet. We're going to get it for his Warren's turning 13. So he's getting his dog for his birthday. It's actually a husky pit mix. And he's wanted a husky all his life. So it just so happened. Like this dog found us. I'm telling you, he's going to lose.
I love huskies. My dog's a pit terrier and chow. So you have like a good mix of energy, I will say. And at 13, yeah, he's going to
Yeah.
love them. I'm excited for you guys.
I'm excited. I'm so glad. But yeah, and I love gardening like you. I like being well-rounded as well. So I get you. So let's get back to like what inspired you to become a therapist? I mean, how did we get here? You've come so far since I've met you.
Yeah, I look back at my life and I think a big part of me becoming a therapist was me being nosy and wanting to be all up in everybody's business. But I started off as a Girl Scout and I would help people out at soup kitchens and things like that. And I would always have conversations with the people that we were helping. And oftentimes it was, they were older adults who had lived life and they would tell me, man, like, here you are, this little girl, and like, you just spoke life into me. And here I am thinking, oh, we're just having a conversation. But they kept saying, you're good at this. You should do this in the future. And little me didn't take it seriously. And then 5th grade came along, still me being nosy, also hating math class. And the peer mediator of the school, the school counselor came and she said, hey, who wants to be a peer mediator? You get out of math class if you want to join. So I was like, and ever since then, I fell in love with helping people in that way, using my voice instead of like sitting down and doing math equations. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And then I went to Delaware State. I actually was afraid of doing psychology courses because math was required. Did a
Oh,
little bit of sociology. Yeah, math was required. It was not fun. I will tell you, the best feeling in the world was taking my last math class. Very happy. Never have to go back. I will be okay counting on my fingers.
yeah.
But yeah, so I did sociology. And then I realized, as much as I enjoyed that part of learning about how people function, how people are, how we got to where we are as a society, not just as individuals, psychology, mental health overall was the thing for me. So I got my degree in clinical mental health counseling at Johns Hopkins, got my license, and here I am. So hating math class, wanting to be all up in people's business, let me hear.
That's hilarious. But at some point, I know that there was a moment where you're like, this is going to be my life's work. Like, I really, it's
Yeah.
not just that I'm avoiding math. It was a moment where it's like, I really feel fulfilled and like, this is my purpose. Was there a
Yeah.
conversation that was had or someone you helped maybe?
I think I really feel like it compounded.
Yeah.
As someone who grew up with a life of service, of being in Girl Scouts, growing up inside of the church, I just enjoyed it and felt compelled to somehow operate in that space. And it's funny, when I applied to Johns Hopkins, they were like, well, why do you want to be a therapist? And I was like, well, call it cliche, but I think that is like my God-given talent. Like, that's just what I'm meant to do. And I always have been drawn to it. I've always had people say, hey, Dominique, like, you give really good advice or you have really good insight. Can you give me some? And I'm being my regular self. So I think what really solidified it for me was seeing my impact on people. And that was without me even trying a lot of times. So I always thought, man, if I had the training, the spiritual grounding, everything that I needed and applied this, I could make major change in people's lives. So that's, I think, especially what did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's like you were just born and raised into it. Like your environment
Yeah.
brought you into a space to just have the heart to care. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what you named your practice flow therapy. What does flow mean to you?
Flow is something, it's hilarious to me, actually. I'm very corny. My clients will probably cringe if they see this online. I tell dad jokes and I like corny phrases. And I remember having a business, it was called Dolicious, although donuts weren't involved in it, but it just sounded cute to me. But I wanted to focus with flow therapy on something that would stick with people, but wasn't too confusing. So I felt like when people are trying to go about life, they're honestly just trying to find their flow. Nice and simple, right? And I think everyone can relate to that. So that's why I called it flow therapy, because at the end of the day, we're going to work on you finding your flow, which is basically your optimal level of functioning. Something that someone said to me is, you're great right now, but imagine when you are your best self. A lot of people, I can even say, I'm not my best self every day, but I would love to have more days than not
Right.
when I am. And that's our ultimate goal at flow therapy, making it so that your best self.
Yeah. Did you see like a gap in mental health care to inspire you to start flow therapy? Or was it just truly like, you know what, this is what flows for me. I'm gonna just stay in my lane. Or, did you notice that there was just a lot of people out here hurting and needing help?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't have access to healthcare. And even me as a therapist, when I was going throughout my program, I could not afford to pay for my own therapy. So here I am, a therapist giving people treatment, but I couldn't afford my own. But when I was growing up, I also was able to see, growing up in Fort Washington, Maryland, I always say I can go to the and I'll be fine there. And I can also go meet with the president. Maybe not this current president, but a president, right? But because of that, I could see how different populations, regardless if it was class or race, disproportionately had access to mental health care. And I, thankfully, when I was younger, before I turned 26, I had access to health care, but a lot of people didn't. And because I saw that, I was like, no, we got to do something about it. Before I became a therapist, a lot of people always suggested that I should become a lawyer or an attorney. And, man, potentially that could come with that. But I've always been someone who was outspoken and wanted to advocate for people. So I couldn't just see that there was a gap or that there are these issues and not do something about it, especially if I knew that I had the talents or I had some sort of bridge to help people get to where they needed to go.
Yeah. And who do you mostly serve? Like, what's the most common challenges that your clients have or that they're experiencing today?
Yeah, my primary client base includes children. So from about the age of 8, teens, and then young adults. The oldest range, I would say, is about early 40s. And not everyone in their early 40s consider themselves young adults, but I do at the end of the day. And I will say particularly, especially people of color, because that's who I work with or specialize with. So children, teens, and young adults who identify as people of color or other folks who are a part of a marginalized group, they have barriers to healthcare. So as a part of my practice, we also give discounted pro bono or sliding scale therapy sessions. Beyond disproportionate access, it's not just healthcare in itself, it's having disproportionate access to a therapist who can consider their background, their, I would say, holistic entire self, right? And how that impacts their overall health journey. And I will say young children who are people of color, especially Black youth, are at more risk of dying by suicide. We have to correct the way that we speak about that, but dying by suicide compared to other populations. And some of that is because they don't have access to adequate health care. So that's what we try to do at my practice. Consider the whole self, how your finances, your background, your culture impacts your overall health journey. And we go at it from there.
Yeah. That's so great. Because you're right. There's a lot of young people that just need somewhere to vent or to let it out or to just talk. And like I said, I've been getting therapy for years and I don't see how we just, especially in this country, can function without it. Like it should be mandatory for everyone.
Yeah,
It
I agree.
really should. I mean, just to have the basics to live is stressful enough, And
Yeah.
what would you say are misconceptions that people still have about therapy?
Ooh. Um, there's so many. I'm like, which one do I want to pick? I think that sometimes people assume that therapy is just talking to a friend when we are literally rewiring the way that your brain functions, excuse me. I tell my clients all the time what we're doing is brain surgery, essentially, just with how we are speaking to you. I gave an example to someone before. I said, imagine if you could think of your favorite meal right now, pay attention to what happens in your body. So if you can do that for me, actually, I'm gonna let you be an actual live example. So imagine your favorite meal. Now tell me what's happening to your body while you're imagining that.
Well, I did just eat, but I still kind of had like my mouth was preparing a little bit like, ooh, we're going to eat something again? Wait,
So it's probably salivating, right?
yeah. It's
Because
like,
you're thinking about the food.
right.
Yes. So it's the power of your mind. If you are actually thinking about something, if you can convince your brain of one thing, we can actually change the functions, the physical functions of your body. And the saliva is one thing that we can see and recognize, but there are other things that are going on, like we can help you produce more dopamine just by speaking to you in a certain type of way or providing you with certain information, rewiring the way in which your brain thinks, changing those thought patterns, etc. So I think that's a very common misconception. Another big one is that therapy is super duper formal. I know my style is very casual and laid back. You can probably get that vibe from me speaking with you now. I have people come into therapy with bonnets. If you want to be in a grocery store, as long as you feel like you have a private enough, space, you can do that. If you want to be in pajamas or eat food, that's okay too. But at the end of the day, I'm going to meet my clients where they're at. And it doesn't have to always be this super scary, formal, uptight thing. As long as you know I'm your therapist, then not your friend, we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Is it always in person or do you also meet virtually?
So my practice is 100% virtual, although we do some in-person events
Oh,
for my clients. I have been in person. I worked at private practices or group practices, excuse me. I worked at group homes, and I also was a school-based therapist. So not a school counselor, but a therapist put inside of a school for PG County, Anne Arundel County, I think Baltimore. I've been all over the place.
okay. And so, okay, so I'm going to move into the segment more like just thinking about mental health just today. We hear a lot about anxiety, burnout, depression. Like, what are you most seeing in your practice? Like, what are most people or do you feel are coming to you? Is it a lot of the same thing that may be missing in the community? I think we're having an issue with socializing in public a little bit. Like, there's nowhere for young people to really go. So what would you
Yeah.
say is one of the main things you see most often?
I'm seeing a huge gap between people who are extremely emotionally intelligent or who are in therapy, having extreme insight into what's going on within themselves and their own bodies. But then other people who are in their community or friend circles, family circles, who don't have that same awareness. And so when they are on their healing journey, I think it makes it a lot more difficult and challenging because at the end of the day, one of the primary things that actually helps prevent attempts at suicide or people dying by suicide, depression, et cetera, is having support and
Mm,
community. And so, as much as it's great that people are getting therapy, clinical support, we especially need family and friends to kind of come into there. So, that's a challenge. I think also young adults, especially, not even I think, I know young adults, especially, are having a hard time finding friends in
mm,
community overall because of the virtual network or how much, I guess, virtual platforms and things like that have
yeah.
taken over since COVID.
Mhm.
I think it's also because they're also, again, so emotionally intelligent. They're not engaging in stuff that they feel like doesn't work well for them. So it's a lot harder
Right.
with our children, younger ones. Same thing. If they're experiencing mental health issues, they're recognizing it because social emotional learning is incorporated in a lot of schools and things like that. It's
Mhm.
more normal to discuss, but their parents, I've had so many family members have a gap where they don't believe mental health is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it stinks. And even
Mhm.
as a therapist, when I'm like, hey, you really need to look out for your kid. I'm concerned. But there is some sort of disconnect where it's disheartening. So
Yeah.
those are some of the primary things that I'm seeing, especially now.
And you mentioned like recognizing something. So what are some signs someone may need support but doesn't recognize it? Would you say?
I usually see changes in sleep immediately. So insomnia or what we call hypersomnia, changes in appetite. If you're having difficulty focusing or you're getting distracted easily, if you are isolating yourself, if you're just fatigued, if you sleep for 10 hours and you're waking up and you're still tired, challenging. Burnout
Mm,
is a big one that's going on with kids, yes, but young adults, everybody at
yeah.
this point, especially with everything that's going on within society. There was a big uptake since the, I think, 2020 election. But
Mhm.
those are some major signs that I would look
Okay.
out for.
And what advice would you give someone who's hesitant to start therapy?
I would say it's not as scary as you think it is. Also, if it feels uncomfortable for you, that's okay. You know, it's not going to always be the most comfortable process, but it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong just because your body is thinking or feeling like it's something that is wrong. It's also really important to find a good therapist to make that process easier for you. I have lots of people that come in, they meet me, we do our free 15-minute consultation, and they're like, oh, this isn't that bad. Or I thought that
What?
afraid. So I say at least try to put one step forward and talk to someone, interview, and get that kind of feel. Maybe even just try one session. And if you decide it's not for you, roll out. You have a right to stop therapy at any time, just like you have a right to start it at any time. But it's not as scary as you may think.
And so if someone could do one thing this week to improve their mental wellness, what would you recommend?
I always say, drink water, get some rest,
Mhm.
and eat food. I have so many folks that come into my therapy office and they're like, oh, Dominique or Miss Dominique, I need more coping skills. No. Like that's great. But you need to take care of the basics first, because a
Right.
lot of times people don't even realize how much sleep, nutrients, water impacts their overall mental and emotional health. So start with that, I would say. And then also cultivate time for yourself. I'm a big advocate for self-care, but not all of this pop culture TikTok self-care shenanigans that I see, right? It's good if you want to go do some Pilates. But if you want to take just 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes out of your day, like if we think of how many minutes are in an hour, okay, let's multiply that by 24. You can take 2 to do something for yourself. I don't care if it's breathing. I don't care if it's watching 2 seconds of a show, whatever it is. So that's my advice. Self-care, take some time to yourself.
It's
and you'll be
funny.
okay.
It's funny how you're like, people think they're having coping issues when they're just hangry and their blood sugar's low. They're like, hey, what did you have for lunch today? That's why.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at a
Yeah.
minimum, it's exacerbating what all the other underlying things are. I know for me, I get hangry. I tell my clients, you don't want to see me before 10 a.m. Sorry. Like, I'm going to be a gremlin.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a lot of things that impact that.
So moving into the next quick segment is just 3 questions regarding your advocacy and leadership. You've been involved in advocacy beyond your clinical work. So just in your own words, why has community leadership been so important to you?
I see so much that happens within my community, especially my Black community. And a lot of people aren't getting the help and support that they need, to be quite honest. And as a therapist, I realized another gap is that we have people who are advocating, we have senators, we have representatives, right? But they don't actually have that clinical background or understanding of what's really going on here. They also aren't seeing it firsthand. I think the way in which I see someone present versus another person on the street is a little bit different. I kind of think of Dubois' rose-colored glasses, right? And so with that being said, I know that I'm really the only one that can do this work, to be honest with you.
Right.
I think that what I bring and offer, as much as everyone can offer something, what I offer as an actual mental health clinician is totally different. And so that is one reason why I've stepped into the advocacy space. Because if I really want my clients to make progress here, therapy is just one step. We got to actually address why they're coming in here in the first place.
Yeah. And tell us more about Maryland's Mental Self-Care Day. Like, how did that come about and why does it matter so much?
I was in high school, actually. And I'm looking back now, and I guess I didn't realize what kind of like mental or emotional state that I was in at the time. But I remember having a conversation with a girl, Brittany. What's her last name? Oh my goodness. She went to our church. I can't even remember her last name right now. But there was a girl named Brittany.
Yeah.
And I was saying, I don't feel sick, but I don't feel great today. And I really want to take off, not come to school. And I've always kind of had that on my mind that we need a time to actually take care of ourselves, because as much as we give grace for physical health, right, we don't do that for mental health, or we don't take time to take care of ourselves. And we talk about mental health awareness, which great. But that is the first step.
Yeah.
We need to go beyond mental health awareness and actually take action,
Right.
some actionable steps. So with Mental Self-Care Day, that is the intention. I just want people to take care of themselves so that they don't get to a place of burnout. But you do that by going beyond awareness and actually taking some time. So that's how the holiday got started. We got a proclamation, a formal one from Governor Westmore last year. We actually also got one from PG County, which I don't think I took a picture of it. I need to get on that. But yeah, so super excited to see people over the last couple of years celebrate and incorporate that.
That was so awesome. I love that. And speaking of which, so how can communities, churches, schools, and businesses better support mental wellness?
Ooh. Consult with mental health care professionals or just people in the mental health space overall. I think that's the biggest thing. As much as I think everyone has insight, and you don't have to be a therapist or professional necessarily to offer something amazing or some sort of insight or influence. I think it definitely can help because we don't know what we don't know. So I think humility is a really good step with that. Another thing that they can do, contact their senators. People don't realize, or the representatives, people don't realize how much just talking to someone can impact something. Even if you needed help or support with getting the word out, if you wanted to have an event, if you wanted to have free treatment for some of your church members. I know I've had churches reach out to me to ask me to help or support with that. You don't know what someone can help with until you have those conversations. So I'd say use humility, yes, to know that you won't know everything. So partner with other community members. That's what they're there for.
Yeah. But what excites you most about the future of flow therapy? What do you have coming up and going on? What is it evolving into? Because you've done a lot already.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, what do they say? I need to practice what I preach. I would really, I'll be honest with you. I'm in this place where I want to do so much and I see so much need, but I don't know if flow therapy will be able to encompass it all. I have really been sitting on it, praying on it, talking to my therapists about it as well. And I'm considering going into the nonprofit space because I think that will encompass more of what I want. So it could look like restructuring flow therapy totally and changing it into a nonprofit, 501(c)(3), I believe. Yes. Or creating a separate one. So I'm not totally sure, to be quite honest with you. But going bigger, yes, but tapping more into the community work and bridging that gap for people who have disproportionate access to healthcare. That is certainly the goal for flow therapy.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know I'm going to be working with you and doing exactly what you're saying. And I'm interested in a creative wellness space because my foundation background was art. And I want to definitely get back into that eventually, but incorporate the therapy. And it's just a part of life, just to be creative.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll be back at 10.
I think it's good to have a balance.
Oh, yes. That's it. If you could change one thing about how America views mental health, what would it be?
Know that mental health is health. It is not separate. It isn't this physical health and mental health. It is all one thing. And also know that you have access to it if you are willing to do the work to look for it. Your form of access may look different, but there are plenty of resources out there. So even if you only have a dime in your bank, you can find access to mental health care.
Right. Yeah. Like I wish I knew if I can pause. I only have a few more questions because it seems like
everything timed out.
Yeah, you're brilliant. Well, at least I still have audio, so I'm going to wrap it up. I only have a few more questions. What advice would you give the next generation of Black professionals entering the mental health field?
Don't be afraid of your Blackness. I remember getting points off of a recording. So in my program, we would do recordings of therapy sessions with fake clients. And I got points off for saying gonna and wanna instead of going to and wanting to. And as an African American woman, that is the way in which that I decide to speak, not because I can't speak the Queen's English or the King or whoever's up there now, but it's because it's a way for me to honor who I am, to honor my ancestors, and the fact that I have an opportunity to be here and show up as my full self, period. And also, it's a way for me to connect to my other clients who happen to be people of color. So that was my way of, I guess, honoring myself as an African American female in the mental health space. But I encourage any other people of color in the mental health space, especially Black professionals, just own your Blackness.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, because I even doing these interviews and things, I find myself getting very comfortable, and I don't, I may not portray very professional at times, but it's just because I'm authentically myself. And sometimes we talk a certain way depending on the seriousness of the conversation, so it's like, we don't have to be validated by anybody at this point. So I love that you said that, because that even helped me with my comfort level with this. Because it's not even perfect. It's not perfect. Like right now, I don't even know if your screen is working, but I'm going to figure it out. And it's not a big deal. There's still be something there, I'm sure.
It happens.
It happens.
But it's funny. We have this idea of what professionalism is, but I really think it's just whiteness, which it's like, well, that's not me.
Well, and again, there's a gradient with that,
Yes.
So yeah, it's time for us to just be us ourselves and be authentic and just flow, right?
Yes, just flow. Find your flow. That's the message.
Great. So finally, lastly, how can people connect with you and learn more about flow therapy?
Yeah, people can go on my website. It's flowtherapy.health, not .com, .health. You can also follow us on Instagram and all other social medias at Flow Therapy LLC. I also have a TikTok. That's the name of the TikTok is the Flow Therapist. You can also find the Flow Therapist on Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that. So that's how you can find us.
Yes, and I'm gonna be having you back. So you'll be found here on this platform as well. So, but I'm gonna also include all that in the description of this video and wherever else it's posted. And yeah, that's it. Dominique, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your heart, your commitment to helping people heal. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. Your work reminds us that mental wellness is not a luxury. It is an essential part of living healthy, purposeful lives. So we appreciate everything you're doing for our communities. And I just appreciate you being on this platform. I really do.
Thank you for having me.
You are fun. So thank you for joining us for another inspiring conversation on Black expertise. If today's interview encouraged you, challenged you thinking, or introduced you to someone making a meaningful impact, we'd love for you to support our mission. Subscribe to Black Expertise YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and visit our website for future stories, podcasts, and resources celebrating Black professionals across every industry. Be sure to connect with Dominique Thornton and learn more about flow therapy if you're looking for culturally responsive mental health support or simply want to continue the conversation around healing and wellness. Remember, every expert has a story, and every story has the power to change someone's life. Until next time, I'm Renée Holtz. Thank you for watching Black Expertise.